Welcome to One-on-One with Expert Flyer. I'm your host, Lisa Caslin. And today we're talking with Tiernan Quinn, who heads up a popular app review site called ExpertFlyer.com. How you doing?
Hello, Lisa. Doing very, very well.
Good. It's been a while. I'm glad to have you back.
Thank you very much. Yes, lots have been happening in the app industry in the last year and a little. And yes, it's all getting better all the time.
Good. Well, look, we obviously want to talk about the most popular apps right now, but before we do that, just tell us a little bit about App Picker and kind of what you do and what you're good at.
Well, what we're good at is we spend a lot of time analyzing new apps and the best apps, really, because over the last 5 years, the sheer volume of apps has become to the point where everyone is crowded, and our trends in visitors on Google has changed from just apps really to the best apps, and then now it's really at the stage where what are the best apps in very different categories. We cover 600 different categories. We update 4 lists a day, constantly deleting ones that are no longer good and adding ones that are new and putting in a few promising ones. The dynamics of the App Store has changed so much that people really just want to know if it's better than what they have, and is it more convenient, and does it really elevate their lives?
Right. You know, it's funny because, we're all now programmed to look for an app to do something for us, and there are a lot of choices, and sometimes you kind of tend to look for the reviews and stuff, but I think even according to you, sometimes those reviews are not generally very reflective of actually the worth of the app or its functionality.
Yeah, you can say that, because what's happened is that in a large part of the marketplace, advertising revenue has gone down for websites. So let's just say the integrity of many sites has fallen as they've had to accept money. And we get 10 requests a day to review apps and in exchange for money, and we decline 10 a day. We have to be, it's become very tough for independent developers with good apps. So we just give them a small chance on some of our sections like hot apps. And then I monitor the next day the conversion rate, and that sort of is a great indicator for trends for us and gives us ideas of where we should be directing our editorial focus on next week's per se. And really, the phrase that came about was "there's an app for that." But more and more, that's now part of our lexicography. Yeah. But now more and more so, what app, which app? And word of mouth is the most popular way as you see somebody using an app. But there's lots of if you start exploring the App Store, there are so many interesting things there that we don't know about. It's a bit like Shazam. It's learning things you didn't know before.
Yeah. Very good. All right. So what's on your radar now in terms of trending travel apps? What's kind of hot or percolating at the moment?
Well, what's really now, we really only recommend 2 very good apps, Skyscanner and one called Hopper. The reason we have 2 is that they're both good at different geographies or different areas in the world. Similar to the fact that Uber in the States is way up there. Outside of the States, it's having problems. We have some certainly. You've got TripIt, which is the one I've used for many, many years, which is like your itinerary map. But there's one called TripCase, which is really starting to add to its features. And when you go to the airport, I was only in Amsterdam last week, and I used my Flio. It told me everything, which is it's like a navigation tool.
Yes. Airports, right? It kind of tells you everything that's going on at the airport?
It does indeed. So when you're in your travel process, it eases the whole experience for you. I got to know logging into Wi-Fi was easier and the shopping was easier because they're getting bigger and bigger.
Very good.
And there's one called Lounge Buddy. It's had some ratings problems because it tries to do a lot. And then when you're flying, you as you know yourself, from Expert Flyer, there's you seat alerts. I always like to sit by the aisle, and if I don't get it, I almost don't travel, so that type of thing becomes more and more important for people. The comfort of their travel. But that's the sort of the initial part of the booking, which is from your flights to knowing the airport and your itinerary. You then move on to the hotel. Airbnb obviously has just taken the world by storm.
Yes.
Yes, it's great. But for those that need the hotels, there's the hotels tonight, which is really good. And it's quite reactive, and you can look for hotel bookings last minute sort of thing. If they don't sell the hotel room, then they lose out. So they very much want people to come in and make your best offer, which is a great market to be in. For renting your taxis, you've got Uber and Lyft. But if you're doing car rental, the one I think is really good is a company called Cars Scanner. It's not owned by Flight Scanner, but they use the same process. They scan all the various sites and aggregate and pick your best options. And when you get there, what do you do? If you're there on business and you need to go for a restaurant, you've got your TripAdvisor, which is there. But there's also interesting apps called Hype, which tell you about the things you wouldn't otherwise know about. Whereas TripAdvisor is like, oh, this is the best restaurant. The likes of Hype and Tip and Tag tell you what's happening today, which is great when you're just in a foreign country and maybe a day overstay and you just want to know what's going on.
Yeah, you want to hang out with the locals.
Yeah, and you want to see what things that nobody else talks about. You know, you don't want the number one restaurant on TripAdvisor, which of course gets plugged beyond a lot of fake reviews there, so they're going to be number one. And you really need to see beneath that radar, which is what we do. We try and find the interesting things beneath that radar. And of course, you've got to have your ubiquitous apps like for translation. Speak and Translate is the number one. The currency converter is XE currency. And tipping is something overlooked. We just had a look at an app called Gratitude, and that really tells you what the custom in each country is.
Oh, that's great.
Well, in New York, it's 20%, which nearly killed me a few years ago. And if you don't leave it, it's what's wrong, sir.
I know.
So you go to Australia and they don't expect a tip because it's all built into their culture and their business model for restaurants. If you leave a tip, they say, what's wrong, sir? If you leave anything. And then, of course, when things go wrong, you have to cover. Which is the seat alerts. So, you know, you can book that thing in the Mezzi and things like that. But looking to the future, this is where we try to anticipate things coming up, which is really, if there was a development company that could do an app that amalgamated all the features of the apps I've mentioned, but customized it according to where you're going. When I'm going to Thailand, I want to know the dollar baht conversion rate. That's anything else is irrelevant to me. The tipping there that goes on there, the translation, I don't need to keep selecting different languages. The local stuff for wherever you're going, the local taxi company. So if an app that did that incorporated all of these things so that from beginning to end, your travel was seamless, comfortable, convenient, and you had security, knowing that if anything went wrong, you could quickly change your plans, then I think that would be the real game changer in the app market.
All right. Well, it sounds like you have to move into development and out of reviewing.
Oh, I have no free time.
I know. All right. Listen, but before I let you go, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, we certainly give advice to certain developers when they write to us. I say you need to have this. You know, we know things that they sometimes think, like anything. Do I look good in this? You've got to. We give developers, you must have that, you know, or else people won't convert.
Of course, of course. All right, so before we let you go, hurricane season is coming around the corner, and the holidays will not be far behind. It wreaks havoc on travelers' schedules, getting from point A to point B. What are the specific apps that air travelers should turn to when they find themselves in a jam? Either their flight is canceled or delayed or overbooked and they're bumped. Where should they turn to? Any thoughts?
So two things that I think on there, which I briefly mentioned earlier on, is that your whole itinerary has now just turned on its head, and everybody, let's say everybody is stuck in an airport in Dallas, or everybody is now doing the same thing. So there are certain apps, which is about the seats, which is the one that you're aware of, which is the seat alerts. That's the type of thing you need, which is you need to make sure that you're getting on the next plane. There's another site called Mezi. It's like a concierge for the traveler. In case of an emergency, that does it. You need to be able to just push a button without any delays and have an automatic contingency plan for when that happens, because otherwise you're going to be sleeping in the airport.
That's right. You need to be zigging when everybody else at the airport is zagging.
That's the truth. And it needs to be faster than even you can do it. It should be just gone, automatic trigger, and you have ease of mind knowing that alternative plans have been done without any panic.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with? Anything happening new on your end that you want to tell us about?
No, we continue doing what we do, and hopefully each year we'll get better and better. I mean, there are over 2 million apps here, so our work is really cut out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
So it's fun. It's very interesting. I love it.
All right. Well, look, you better get back to work then.
All right, Lisa.
Have a great day, and thanks again for your time.
Okay, welcome. Bye-bye.
Pleasure. Bye.